I mean, it's easy to get lost, isn't it, with all of these cases? But the language of this particular indictment is so profound, talking about prolific lies and conspiracy to defraud the United States.
Well, thanks so much for having me, Max. And you're right. I think that this is the blockbuster indictment that Trump critics have been waiting for. Not because it's going to be easy to prove, I don't think it will be, but just because of the weight and the scale of the charges. It goes to the worst thing Trump did in office, these destabilizing lies, an effort to shatter one of the bedrock principles of American democracy, of course, the peaceful transfer of power, and all while provoking an event, January 6th, where violence was a predictable implication of stoking his base. It's really easy to get desensitized to Trump's behavior. He's innocent until proven guilty, obviously, and this is going to be an adversarial process in court. But basically, the indictment says that Trump has every right to spread mistruths. He has every right to complain about electoral integrity. But once that digresses into a conspiracy and one aimed at impeding the certification of ballots, then it becomes criminal, and especially so because it was all predicated on fraud and deceit.
I think you've noted, haven't you, that it's interesting that this indictment doesn't focus on the violence, which was so famous around that attack in Washington. It's more about the procedural steps that Donald Trump took. So just explain why that might be the strategy of the prosecution.
I think you're absolutely right, Max. I mean, to me, what is noticeable is what's in this indictment and what's not in this indictment. And what is there is this focus on the procedural steps Trump took to overturn the 2020 election. What's not there or only in the background is detail about Trump's actual role in whipping up a mob at the U.S. Capitol. And I think that this was a strategic choice by special counsel Jack Smith. He wanted to keep the attention on the facts that he actually thought were provable, maintain a sort of surgical precision in that way, and not get lost in some of this legally dicey maze that consumed, I think, much of Trump's second impeachment trial and much of the House Select Committee into January 6th. Jack Smith's audience is, a court of law and not the court of public opinion. So the kinds of conduct that he thinks he can prove at a very high threshold of guilt, they're a lot different than Trump's critics